Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about getting your driver's license in the wintertime. I strongly encourage you to do it. It's not as stressful as it is in the summertime. Stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Welcome back. Smart Drivers, Evan's here, Mallory is here, my friend Tim is here from Drive Smart BC. Be sure to check out his channel if you're in the province of British Columbia getting your license, want to know anything about road rules, or have some questions about court case law, going to court, traffic tickets, those types of things. Tim has an excellent website there, Drive Smart BC. Head over there as well, join in the discussion. He has a forum there that people can join and have a discussion about different topics and those types of things, even as much as, how do we get the roads fixed and why are lines on the roads the way they are. So check that out. Fourth time. Okay, unfortunately we'll talk about that. Pearson's here, Jacob's here, Corey is here. Bricks for Wheels. Corey is the moderator and does an excellent job of getting videos up that I suggest you have a look at for more detail on questions that I answered for you, and also keeps the bad people out. And Tim, you're most welcome. Garden State's here. How are you? Greetings from the New Jersey in US of A, which is an excellent place. Good tomatoes there in New Jersey. T-App, how are you? Awesome. So quite a number of people here are already on the live stream. Before we get started here, if you're going for a driver's license test, be sure to check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time over at the Smart Drive Test website. As well, I have the driving test, the practice test questions for the learner's permit up for the top 10 most populated states. So California, Texas, Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida. All of those, check those out over at the Smart Drive Test website. Those practice tests are free. And if you have any suggestions about practice tests that you would like to see or have up on the channel, then drop me a note down in the comments there, or send me an email, rick@smartdrivetest, and we'll get that done for you. So lots going on here. As well, check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time. I think I mentioned this. Guaranteed to pass your driver's test first time. As well, there's more practice driving test questions in there for your learners. As a bonus, we throw in the winter and defensive driving smart courses as a bonus. You can pick that course package up for about $38 US. Trevor, hello my friend. Renee, shout out from Shoal Lake, Manitoba. Awesome. Jay is here from Ottawa. Hoda is here. And T-App has the driving test tomorrow. Congratulations, or good luck on your driver's test tomorrow. You're going to do awesome. Remember to breathe. That'll cause your body to relax, because I know it is stressful for your driver's test there. Paul, lines on the road are the way they are because the DOD came to work drunk. Yeah, not sure that's right, but it's a good opinion. Jim Bob heard about the tornadoes in Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee, southern parts of Ohio, Kentucky. So all of our energies and our wishes and prayers go out to the people there. Paul says they have snow in Hawaii. Interesting. Yeah, so we're definitely have evidence of global warming. Not what we want. Corey's put the link up there for Pass Your Driver's Test First Time course package. Thank you for that, Corey. And definitely have a look at that and definitely check that out. And as well, be sure to check out the practice driving test questions over there. Lots of resources over at the Smart Drive Test website as well. Frequently asked questions. You can check those out. They're up for all 50 states and 10 provinces over at the Smart Drive Test website. So lots of resources. And if there is a resource that you might be interested in having or are looking for and you can't find it, drop me a note. We'll see what we can do for you. And New Jersey. There was a comment about yeah, grow my own tomatoes too. They're great. Awesome. So lots of gardens going on there. So lots of states here, lots of states in the north, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, all of those states are now getting snow. We're getting snow here in Canada. Not that we don't, snow never goes away here. We have our igloos and whatnot. So, we know how to drive in snow. So we're going to give you some tips and strategies of getting your license in the snow, because unfortunately, I know a lot of new drivers who've been studying and practicing for their driver's test wait until the spring or into summer. You know, sometimes it's time constraints. They're going to school, they're doing exams and those types of things. But I strongly encourage that if you're up for getting your driver's test, you're eligible for your driver's test, go for your driver's test in the wintertime, because driving examiners aren't as busy, they're not as stressed out, it's a little bit more relaxed. And if you do have snow on the roadways, it's going to be easier because it doesn't have to be as exact as it is in the summertime. So I strongly encourage you to book a driver's test and go for your road test in the wintertime. Logan, snowy and very windy here in Ontario. Tough conditions to learn in for sure. Yes, but you can do it, Logan, with good winter tires on your vehicle and just some tips on how to manage space around your vehicle. Well, you can do it, and it's going to make you a better driver in the summertime because you've already dealt with those more challenging conditions. So let's get over to the presentation here and get through that. And the way that it works is I do the presentation for about 10 minutes, and then I come back, and the remainder of the hour will answer any questions that you have about passing a driver's test, getting a CDL license, becoming a truck or bus driver, or you just want to be a smarter, safer driver on the roadways. Anthony, you're most welcome. Jim, go for my road test on Tuesday, watching from just across the border in Maine, and they definitely have snow there in Maine as well. For those of you who don't know where Maine in the United States is, it's the most northeastern state of the United States. So it's the opposite of Washington State. It's on the other corner at the top. So there you go. Paul, I'm a cabbie in New York, not Manhattan, but about 15 miles from there, and people do not like how cabbies or road share drivers get around town. Watch how we drive faster than others. I suspect you do. Mallory says that they have snow there in the Maritimes in Nova Scotia as well. So, all right, so 10 or 12 minutes for the presentation. We'll come back and we'll answer any questions you have. So driving in the wintertime, learning how to drive, I do strongly recommend that you do that. Make sure that you have your vehicle fitted with good winter tires. And my recommendation again and again and again is Michelin tires. I like Michelin tires. Unfortunately, I can't get all seasons for the buggy on my 1998 Honda CR-V. If I could, then I would have Michelin's on the buggy in the summertime as well. But the winters are absolutely awesome. All right, so those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a long-haul truck driver in the 1990s. I became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997 in Ontario, the province of Ontario, here in Canada. As well, went to Australia, took the driving instructor course there, qualified for that, and then I came back to British Columbia in Canada, and I'm a driving instructor here. I've driven heaps and heaps in the United States of America because I drove truck between Canada and the United States. So most of what I teach here is directed towards the United States of America. And of course it's applicable to Canada, and there are some minor differences and whatnot, as you learned from the videos that I was doing with Sam there a few weeks ago on driving in New York City, and as you know, in Manhattan and the 5 boroughs, so Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Staten Island, you can't turn right on a red light. And the posted speed limit in those boroughs is 25 miles an hour, whereas in most of the rest of the state in New York, it's 35 miles an hour. Earned my doctorate in 2006 from the University of Melbourne. While I was going to university, I drove buses for Greyhound and the regional bus lines there as well, so I have bus experience as well. And if you want to know more about me, you can check out the autobiography over at the Smart Drive Test website. And I see Corey's put the link up there for winter tires, an interview I did with Gary here at Tireland, and we talk about tires. Definitely have a look at that if you want some more information about tires. So new video this week with Sam, my friend Big Mac Sam. He has a channel as well called Big Mac Sam. He's a driving instructor in the Bronx there in New York City. Definitely have a look at that and get some tips for driving in the big city. And, kind of fun working with Sam and doing great videos that have really, added to the knowledge base here on the channel for sure. So slipping and sliding, learning how to drive in adverse weather conditions. Most of the time in the winter time, the roads are going to be clear, especially the main roads, because the main roads are just well kept. They're plowed, they're sanded, salted, and whatnot. It's going to be when you get into the residential areas, and it's a matter of braking early and then creeping up to where you actually want to stop. Less aggressive movements on the primary controls, the steering wheel, the throttle, and the brake. And as well, braking and steering are two separate conditions. So you're going to come up, you're going to slow down first, and then you're going to make your turn. So better mastery of the primary controls, and you're going to understand traction. And if you don't know what the ABS brakes are on your vehicle, the anti-lock braking system, then Corey put that video up for you as well. But I would also encourage you to go out to a parking lot and get the vehicle up to a bit of speed and then hammer and hold down the brakes and actually activate the ABS brakes on your vehicle so you know what they're going to do. Because no, in the wintertime, they are not going to get you stopped quicker. Actually, in many cases on slippery conditions, ice and snow, anti-lock braking systems are actually going to get you stopped longer distances because they're going to be, the brakes are going to be releasing more because of the slippery conditions and the wheels tending to lock up. All right, so don't be left out in the cold. It's unlikely that you're going to be driving in a blizzard in the wintertime. If the conditions are bad, the DMV is simply going to postpone your test. Know that. You know, most of the days it's just going to be gray and overcast. The roads will be clear, and you're going to be fine in your driver's test. Okay, don't listen to the rhetoric. Don't listen to what other people are saying to you and those types of things. Know that you can drive in adverse weather conditions and dress for the conditions, have decent footwear on. You know, don't go in your running shoes and those types of things, you know, because it is going to be cold. So, you can be lackadaisical. You simply, and what I mean by that is, as I said, the driver's test in the wintertime is not as exact. You don't have to stop at the correct stopping position at intersections, which is before the stop line, before the crosswalk, or crosswalk lines on the roadway. You simply have to stop before the sidewalk. If there is a sidewalk, make sure that there aren't any pedestrians, and then you creep out and look and make sure that it's clear to go when you can go. Okay, you can drive a bit slower on residential streets, and when you're parallel parking, as you can see this vehicle here on the bottom, you don't have to be 8 to 12 inches from the curb. You just have to be in behind the vehicle in front of you, because you don't want to get stuck in the snowbank. Believe me, driving instructors, or driving examiners rather, will not push you out of the snowbank. They're just going to get out of the vehicle and they're going to walk back to the DMV. So know that. Don't get stuck in the in the snowbank there. Okay, what's between you and oblivion? Make sure that you have good snow tires on your vehicle. Make sure that the snow tires are either M&S rated, which is mud and snow, or they have the mountain snowflake symbol on them. Steel studded tires, they're big here in British Columbia. Lots of people run steel studded tires. I understand that if you're running up and down the mountain, or you're running on hard pack, snow hard pack all the time, then yes, steel studded tires are beneficial. But we just, where I live here, we just don't warrant enough snow to have steel studded tires. I don't like them because they're incredibly noisy. There's a lot of road noise that comes off steel studded tires. So I just recommend normal winter tires. They're good quality winter tires. Okay, and make sure that they're properly inflated in the wintertime, and know that the colder it gets, you may have to top up the air on them, because the colder it gets, the less pressure there's going to be in your tires. Okay, if you do encounter ice, you do encounter slippery conditions, simply get off the brake and the throttle. The throttle is the accelerator, the gas pedal. Just get your feet off that, and then steer the vehicle in the direction you want to go. Sometimes you're going to have to move out onto the shoulder of the road to get a bit of traction, or you're going to have to move closer to the center. I don't recommend you moving towards the center. I always recommend that you move towards the outside of the road to try and find traction if you get a bit of snow and those types of things. So there's always traction somewhere on the roadway. And there's a video here with ice. I got kind of caught out one morning, went up to the intersection and touched the brakes, and it was very slippery, I found out. And then I just moved the vehicle over to the right and got out of the main ruts. And then I found a bit of traction and was able to get the vehicle stopped before, you know, anything happened that I didn't want to happen, like running into a traffic sign or a hedge or somebody's property or whatnot. All right, I can see, I can't see. Okay, so make sure that you know how to turn on the windshield wipers. Make sure you know how to turn on the defrost in the wintertime, because you're going to have to keep the windows clear. As well, if the air conditioning doesn't come on automatically, turn on the air conditioning as well, because that will help to draw the moisture out of the air in the cabin, and roll down one of the windows in the vehicle a little bit to bring in fresh air and to draw that moisture out of the cabin. As well, depending on how much moisture is in the air, you know, if you live in Maine and you live near the coast, the ocean, there's going to be a lot of moisture in the air. So the recirculation isn't going to help. But in other places where it's drier, like where I live in the interior and whatnot, Minnesota, Ohio, not, you know, northern Ohio, obviously, New York State, upstate New York, and those places, you want to turn the recirculation on so that you're just heating the air in the cabin and you're not drawing new air into the cabin. So minimum secondary controls that you want to be able to turn on for the purposes of your driver's test: high-low beams, the defrost on full, and you also want to be able to turn on the windshield wipers, which you may or may not need for the purposes of your driver's test. But as I said, 90% of the time in days in the winter time, the roads are going to be clear, and it's just going to be cold, and it's going to be fine. So drive for the conditions of the road, brake early, creep up to where you want to stop, and as I said, get off the throttle, get off the brake, and steer the vehicle. So when you're going around a corner and there is ice and snow on the roadways, make sure that you get slowed down and then nice and easy on the throttle, steer the vehicle around, make sure you stay off the brakes and whatnot. You got to do the work. You got to work with pylons in the parking lot, so do that in the winter time as well. Look in the direction you want the vehicle to go. Sometimes on slippery conditions, it's going to understeer, which means that you're going to turn the steering wheel and the vehicle is going to continue to go straight. Other times it will oversteer, especially if you're going too fast on slippery conditions, and the back end will start to come around. And you want to spend some time in the parking lot learning how the vehicle is going to respond when it loses traction. All right, so conclusion: learn how to drive in the wintertime. You're going to have a higher skill set that's going to translate into being a safer, smarter driver overall. The test in the wintertime is less exact. Okay, you don't have to be 6 to 8 inches from the curb. You have to just be behind the vehicle in front of you, close to the snowbank. Examiners are less stressed because they're not doing as many driver's tests in the wintertime as they are in the summertime, and 90% of the time the roads are going to be just fine. And know as well that if the weather is bad in the wintertime, that they're going to postpone the driver's test. So all of that, I encourage you strongly to take your driver's test in the wintertime. All right, so back over here. Tim says M&S doesn't mean what you might expect. It's a top page on my site right now. What does it? Yeah, it's. We can get it. I know, Tim, what you're saying. You're saying that M&S isn't a snow tire. You're right. It's not a snow tire because all kinds of all-season tires have the M&S symbol on them, and that doesn't mean that they're rated for snow tires. You want an actual snow tire on your vehicle in the wintertime, and I totally agree with that. Paul, uncle asks nephew, why did you rear end the car in front of you? Nephew begins to speak, and uncle cuts him off and says, I don't care, as long as you're all right, you should have been driving slower. No, you shouldn't have been driving slower. You should have been managing your space better, because if you're rear-ending the vehicle in front of you, you're too close to the vehicle in front of you. And what happens is when you're too close to the vehicle in front of you, you're simply giving up your control of your vehicle and hoping that you can react in time to get to that person in front of you if they jam on the brakes. You want to be able to get your vehicle stopped. In order to have control of your own vehicle, you have to manage space well and have enough space behind that vehicle in front of you that you can get your vehicle stopped. As well, that space management is going to allow you to have complete control of your vehicle, as opposed to, as I just said, hoping on a wing and a prayer that you can react in time to that person in front of you. Yeah, Tim says four-wheel drive means you can get it going, but it's not necessarily going to mean that you're going to get it stopped, nor are you going to get it stopped with any amount of control. They're no different than any other kind of vehicle on the roadway. Yes, they got better traction and those types of things, but they don't stop any better. David, Thursday driving school test, 11 a.m. road test. Awesome. Good luck on your driver's test there on Thursday, David. You're going to do awesome. Okay, wish me luck Thursday tests. Okay, excellent. So, David, you're going for your test. Yeah, Garden State, I had a beard for a very long time, probably from 2000 until about 2015. I had a beard the whole time. Garden State says the Bronx is my second home. Paul grew up near Crotona. There you go. Okay, so lots of people from New York and in that eastern seaboard there in the United States of America. What else we got here? Paul says he just got a brand new set of tires this morning. Not new, but nice. New used set from Boston Road in the Bronx. You will slide if you lock your brakes even under 5 miles an hour. If you're on slippery conditions, yes, you will slide. ABS brakes are designed to allow you to have control, but they're not going to stop you in any shorter distance, that's for sure. Evan, when driving on ice, you have to drive even slower than you would if there was only snow. In the snow, try to keep the car moving and don't come to a full stop unless you have to stop. You know, it depends on how much snow there is. And obviously, you're going to have to be on a rural road or back in the residential areas and those types of things for there to be a great accumulation of snow on the roadways. If you're on the major roadways and whatnot, they're going to be cleared, they're going to be plowed, there's not going to be a lot of snow on them. And if the weather is bad, most of the traffic is not going to be driving that fast anyway, so you're just going to be able to keep up with traffic flow, and that's going to, you know, that'll be an indicator of how fast you should be driving on the roadway. Excellent. Nancy says a road test is on Tuesday. Good luck on your driver's test there on Tuesday. Kimberly, my test is Wednesday. I'm in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. Good luck on your driver's test there, Kimberly. I suspect you have snow that you're going to be dealing with on your driver's test there on Wednesday, Kimberly. Paul, heavy traffic in rain, stopping and going. I rear-ended someone in my first car. Yeah, Paul, and it's generally when, you know, you first start learning to drive that somebody rear-ends somebody else because they're following too close, because they weren't taught space management effectively when they learned how to drive. And unfortunately, it's part of social driving that people follow too close. They don't maintain that 2 to 4 seconds of following distance behind the vehicle in front of them. And it's only after you have that mishap of rear-ending another vehicle that you begin to say, wait a minute, what do I need to put in place here? What skills and strategies do I need to put in place to keep myself safe, and that I have power over my vehicle? I totally have control over my vehicle, and I'm not hoping on a wing and a prayer that the people in front of me get stopped. And as well, when you're moving slow, if you're in stop and go traffic, you always want to be able to see the tires of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement. That will give you that space that you need in case, you know, your attention wanes or something, because usually that's what happens. We get distracted by something else and we look off, and then all of a sudden the person in front of us hits the brakes and we're looking somewhere else, and next thing you know, we run into the back of them. Kimberly says the snow melted. Awesome. So you're not going to have to deal with that when you take your driver's test there on Wednesday. Tim says ABS does not stop you better than conventional brakes in some straight line braking, and I absolutely agree with Tim. I have never been a fan of ABS brakes. I would prefer that they just put good old standard brakes back on our vehicles, but we've had ABS brakes on vehicles now as a standard feature for probably 30 years, so it's not going to go away. It's here to stay. Mallory says, I'm not a big fan of icy roads, especially when there's black ice on them. Yeah, Mallory, nobody's a fan of roads with ice on them. They're definitely challenging to drive on, that's for sure. Lance, I just got my Class 7 license March 20. I just passed my Class 5 last December without a sweat. I appreciated all the advice in your videos and shorts. Made me more confident in my driving, and that's absolutely awesome, Lance. Congratulations on getting your full license there. That must be an awesome feeling. And hopefully you went out and had a great celebration with friends and family on getting your full license, because it's, you know, it's a lot of work now with the GDL program, and you got to jump all the hoops and do 2 driver's tests and a theory test and all the practice. Oh, it's just a lot of work to get your license. So that's really great news. Mallory, when they first came out with a roundabout in Prince Edward Island, not many people knew how to use the roundabout. Now everyone in Prince Edward Island knows how to use roundabouts. That's awesome. I'm a huge fan of roundabouts. Tim, now you had me backwards. ABS stops you better on dry pavement if you don't steer. I don't know, Tim. I don't like ABS. I don't even like it on dry pavement. So, yeah. Crystal, I'm awesome. Yourself? You're good? Paul, roundabouts terrify me. I get extra cautious coming to them and on them. No, Paul, you just got to find your gap and go through, because they're awesome, because you don't have to stop if there isn't any traffic in the roundabout. You do have to give way to traffic in roundabouts are awesome. After you get a bit used to them, you'll really like them. In Australia, roundabouts actually mean speed up. Angel, we are having a decent weather in Missouri. Next week it will be in the 70s. Oh, so yeah, we definitely have climate change. 70 in Missouri. But it is still early December. I mean, we don't get snow here where I live in Vernon, British Columbia until like Christmas. And then we get snow. We get, 8 to 12 weeks of winter. I mean, 8 to 10 weeks of winter. We get snow and whatnot, and then it's gone. So there you go. Tim, it also lets you steer instead of heading off a tangent. Yeah, but the other thing is, Tim, with ABS versus standard brakes, they also did studies on standard brakes when they first brought ABS brakes out, and some cars still had standard brakes, that drivers with any amount of experience automatically do what ABS brakes do anyway. People don't stand on standard brakes and then just let the vehicle go off and careen wherever it wants to. People innately, when they hit on standard brakes, they nail it to the point of lockup. Just before it locks up, they release the brakes and they reassess the situation, and then they apply the brakes again, so the wheels start to roll. So drivers innately do what ABS brakes do anyway. Actually, I think that more drivers are confused about ABS brakes, because you try and get a new driver in a parking lot and you get them to activate the ABS brakes, and they cannot get them to activate until you actually show them and demonstrate how to do it, because they don't actually know. And this goes for all the smart drivers who are watching now or watching on the replay. To activate ABS brakes, you have to have both hands on the steering wheel, and you have to push and hold the brake pedal down as hard as you can to activate the ABS brakes. Otherwise, the ABS brakes won't work, unless it's slippery conditions or whatnot. But for the most part, I would just be interesting right now. Everybody here, tell me if you've ever experienced the ABS brakes on your car. How many people here on the live stream, or you're watching on the replay, just leave a comment down in the comment section and tell me if you know for a fact that you've activated the ABS ABS brakes on your vehicle. Panic situation, lock and pray with conventional brakes. Studies don't support that, Tim. Studies don't support that. That's what most people do. Paul, I thought roundabouts were so they did not have to install stoplights to save electric energy. Paul, no, that's not why roundabouts are put in. Roundabouts have a lot of benefits. First of all, roundabouts move more traffic per hour than conventional intersections. Second of all, they have less points of conflict. So because vehicles are never at exactly 90 degrees to one another, the crashes that do happen in roundabouts are less severe than they are at conventional intersections. There's less crashes overall because there's less points of conflict at roundabouts. And then finally, roundabouts reduce urban noise pollution. There's less noise because traffic doesn't have to come to a complete stop and then go again. And trust you, for somebody like myself who lived in an apartment that was next to a two-way stop signed intersection, oh my God, the noise is over the top. Over the top. Satori, yes, I agree with you on ABS is useful on motorcycles. There's all kinds of studies to show that ABS have been incredibly helpful at reducing, set downs on motorcycles. No doubt about that for sure. Pearson had a pulsation in the brakes once, but the instructor assured me that it was solely due to the suspension damage on the particular car that day. Angel, so ABS aren't all that. Not in my mind, they're not all that. And it might have something to do with my commercial background of driving tractor trailers, because they tried to put them on tractor trailers. They're still trying to put them on tractor trailers. And I think the whole thing fell away because nobody's really policing the manufacture of ABS brakes on trucks and trailers. I don't think I've ever even seen a semi-trailer that has ABS brakes on it. Pearson, I've never pushed my brakes hard enough to get them to lock, so that's why I assume ABS has never kicked in for me. Yes. All right. Kimberly, I feel like drivers pay more attention in roundabouts. Kimberly, you're probably right that most do in North America because they're not really sure what's going on. And, you know, little doubt, there's a learning curve when you get introduced to roundabouts, because when I moved to Australia and I got introduced to roundabouts, there was a learning curve, and there were 2 or 3 little situations where I kind of plowed into a roundabout and didn't give way to cars in the roundabouts. So I can understand that it's a bit daunting at the beginning. So it's it is a bit of a learning curve at the beginning. So because the thing is with roundabouts, when you're approaching them, it's either, you're approaching the roundabout and it's kind of like you got to be prepared to stop, but you also got to be prepared to go at the same time. So yes, I can understand if there's a bit of, fear and trepidation around roundabouts at the beginning, but once you get used to them and once you're comfortable with them, you're just going to be tearing through them. And I really like them. So excellent. Sydney, question: Why states don't honor international Japanese license and give us the American license? Sydney, it's a personal thing between each state, each DMV. That's their decision about whether they're going to transfer your license over and those types of things. The other thing, the reason I would suspect is because you in Japan, the Japanese drive on the left side of the road, and in North America they drive on the right side of the road. So you're going to have to take the driver's test and do all of the regulations, rules, those types of things to get your license here. Kimberly, I'd much rather use a roundabout than an intersection. I agree with you. Big Mac Sam, hello everyone. Hello Rick. It's our last video. We recorded so much that I get reminded of what we recorded. Yes, we did do a lot of recording that day, Sam. And I'll send you the shorts as well, because I've done quite a number of shorts that I've posted around. I'll let you put those up on your channel there as well. So definitely check out Big Mac Sam's YouTube channel. Lots of great information. And as I said previously, Big Mac Sam is a driving instructor in the Bronx there in New York City. So check out his stuff if you're in that area or on the Eastern Seaboard or upstate New York. All of that is relevant. So Corey's put up the video on roundabouts. Excellent. Lance, I had my ABS engaged, but didn't really help with black ice. And no, Lance, it's not really good on ice at all. Sometimes a little bit frustrating, and I have had the ABS engage on icy intersections, especially back in Ottawa, and slid through or into the intersection or way past where I wanted to get stopped, because it's like you're holding the stupid thing to the floor and the vehicle won't stop because it detects wheel lockup. It just keeps releasing the brakes, and the thing just keeps moving forward, even though you're like holding the brake right to the floor. So, Gordon, Rick, did you legal studies in traffic include road building codes? Gordon, yeah. Yes. Oh my God. I read 12 years of minutes for building inspection codes. Yes. Yes, it did. Oh my God. Yes, it did, Gordon. You just brought back, and if you've ever read minutes of meetings for government organizations, they are incredibly boring. So yeah, I did read a lot of those. Crystal, I am doing well. My driving practice is getting better each week. However, we were busy today, so I did not practice driving. Plus, my uncle is visiting today. I also have family coming soon. Well, Crystal, just to run down to the store or grocery store or pick up supplies or those types of things, all of that helps, right? You don't actually have to go out and have a structured driving lesson. You can just go out for a drive and those types of things. DC, Rick, I have my G test this week. Any advice for highway driving in winter? Thanks. Yeah, DC, it's probably going to be fine, because highways and roads are well maintained, so it's not likely that you're going to be dealing with slippery conditions on the highway. And are you sure, DC, that you're going to be going out on the highway? Because the highway has to be close to the test center. Otherwise, they're not going to take you out on the highway as a general rule, because it's just too far out for them to come back and those types of things. So that may not be something that you even do. John, why turning on red is allowed only in the U.S. and not in other countries? John, that I couldn't tell you. I know that Germany doesn't allow turning right on a red light. I haven't heard of any other countries that prohibit that. It's only in the 5 boroughs of New York City that you can't turn right on a red light, and as well, it's the island of Montreal here in Canada that you can't turn right on a red. Those are the only places that I know. Tim, I can share on SAE paper. My colleagues authored on ABS brakes is better on ice than on conventional brakes. Tim, that is not true at all. That's not true. I'm sorry. I just totally disagree with that ABS brakes are better on ice. Not true at all. No, I totally disagree. Bluestone, do you have any videos on sign tests? Yes, I do. There's a whole section on learners. You can have a look at that. Trudes Brown, hi everyone. Trudes Brown, how are you? Paul, I'm fascinated with tractor trailers and want to move up from the taxi to a big rig, but I don't think I can afford lessons. It's just a matter of staying on Paul, there is funding for going to truck driving school as well. There are trucking companies that will sponsor you to go through and get your license. So I would suggest that you do that as well. Have a look at that for sure. Okay. Gordon, Rick, how were you able to come mentally when you were driving truck? Physically, I've noticed many truckers eat burgers and fries and then complain about stress. Gordon, yeah, it's a tough job. And I have to say that one of the ways that I dealt with being a truck driver was that I didn't work full time. I wasn't a lifer, okay? I knew that I was not going to drive truck for the rest of my life. It's different if you're a lifer. I mean, there's some guys who absolutely love driving truck. They love running long haul. But the thing about driving truck is that there are a lot of different options with driving truck. And, you know, you don't have to run long haul. You can run regional. You can run local. There's lots of work doing any of those types of things. And so I would, you know, talk to different people and those types of things. So, you know, it's not easy when you're on the road. And personally, you know, there's a lot of truck drivers who go into restaurants and they eat bad food and those types of things, as you said. I rarely went into restaurants and those types of things. The other thing you got to keep in mind is that when I drove truck in the 1990s, that was when the Canadian dollar was at an all-time low. And it was basically 50 cents on the dollar. And there was one time that I took $20 out of a bank machine in the United States, and I come home and my bank statement said that it cost me $40. So it cost me twice as much for US funds. So I rarely ate in restaurants or truck stops when I was in the States. I ate out of a cooler most of the time. I probably didn't eat as healthy as I should have as a truck driver. And you're right, there's a lot of truck drivers who do not work out, they don't exercise, they don't get enough, they sit behind the seat, they eat bad food, and they are really, really unhealthy. And the other thing is that a lot of them don't get good sleep as well, and that's another piece of it that really affects their health. Okay. Noor, I have my G2 this Thursday. Any tips? Hopefully I will make it this time. Your videos are really helpful. Noor, good luck on your driver's test there. You're going to do absolutely awesome. Lance, I use my handbrake all the time after parking my car, but when I had my test, the instructor asked me to use the handbrake. What's the proper response? Question. Not following. You might have to reword that, Lance, because I'm not sure what you're asking me there. Wally, I'm taking my test here in Maryland tomorrow. Please, any advice on reverse will go help. Yeah, Corey will put up the video for you on 2-point reverse turn, because Maryland is one of the places that you actually have to do a 2-point reverse turn, which basically means you pull up past the street and then you have to back around the corner in Maryland. So that's one of the things you have to do. And then anybody else taking a driver's test, the basic 4 components of a driver's test are speed management, space management, observation, communication. Those are your 4 key components of your driver's test. So space management, stop at the correct stopping position before the stop line, before the crosswalk or sidewalk, and then if those 2 conditions don't exist, at the edge where the 2 roads meet, so just before you enter the intersection. Stop in traffic so that you can see the tires of the vehicle in front making clear contact with the pavement. Maintain your 2 to 3 second following distance for the whole time, because remember, if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit anything, you know, on your driver's test and after you get your driver's license. When you make a left-hand turn on a multi-lane road, make sure you move back over to the right lane after you move over. And so space management, don't enter an intersection that you can't clear. If the traffic is backed up, make sure you wait until you can actually move through the intersection. And then speed management, posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. And then observation, you have to observe. You have to look forward down the road, check shoulders of the road. In, check your instrument panel. Far down the road, in, check one of your wing mirrors far down the road, and then check your other wing mirror. You should be doing that scanning pattern every 8 to 12 seconds. Reversing, 360-degree scan. Make sure you're looking out through the back window. You can check your mirrors. You can check your backup camera for reversing. So that's observation. And make sure and know as well that your observation is tied into your backup camera. All right? Your observation is tied into your speed management. So you should be adjusting your speed every 8 to 12 seconds. That's telling the examiner that you are observing properly, that you're doing your observation and checking your instrument panel every 8 to 12 seconds. And then finally, communication for the purposes of your driver's test. Turn signals, lights and horns are lights and signals. Number one, horn, use it sparingly because in this day and age it's seen as a sign of aggression. But if you're on a residential street and somebody's walking down the road, give your horn a little tap just so they know you're there. Eye contact, if you're not sure what a pedestrian or a cyclist or somebody else is doing at the intersection, make sure you get eye contact with them. And then hand gestures, use all 5 fingers. Don't tell somebody they're number 1 on a driver's test. And then position of the vehicle or road user on the roadway. So if there's a pedestrian standing near the crosswalk, there's a good chance that they're going to step out into the roadway or they're going to cross the roadway. If there's a vehicle in the left turning lane, there's a good chance that that person is going to turn left. So know that. So those are your major components of any driver's test, okay? Space management, speed management, observation, and communication are your 4 components of your driver's test. And good luck on your driver's test if you're taking one this week. Lots of people are taking their driver's test this week. Trude, I drove after a snowstorm last week in Nova Scotia after getting my license. It wasn't that bad, but it was still a little nervous. Some of the roads do, in fact, have a lot of snow, and they do. The farther you get away from the main roads, the more snow you're going to encounter. Many of the residential streets here in the suburb where I live, you know, there's ice pack on the roadways and near the intersections, those types of things, so you have to be very careful. Logan, are ABS brakes only worse on ice for experienced drivers? I would think locking your brakes by accident on ice would cause you to skid much worse than keeping them turning. Yeah, but the thing is, it's not. You're still going to have control. That's the purpose of ABS brakes. But in getting stopped in a straight line, if you're on slippery conditions, it's going to take you a lot longer to get stopped because the brakes are unlocking all the time because they're detecting wheel lockup and they just keep rolling. And if you get in slippery conditions and you're going at any speed and want to get stopped, you're not going to get stopped because the ABS is releasing the wheels. All right. Remy's, one question I may or may not have asked before is, what do I do in my driver's test if the light turns yellow and I have to either floor the brake or accelerator? Okay, yellow lights. Corey will put the video up for you on more detail on yellow lights. This is one of the difficult things for new drivers to kind of deal with is yellow lights, and it's not something that's easy to explain. It's something that you have to experience, and you have to get enough driving experience to be able to hit one of these yellow lights, because you might go through your whole driver's test and not hit a yellow light. If you're more than 1 vehicle length from the intersection, you're going to have to bring the vehicle to a stop. Even if you're sitting across the crosswalk, it's better to bring the vehicle to a stop and be embarrassed and get a few points assigned that you're sitting across the crosswalk than it is to go through the intersection and fail your driver's test. Because if you go through the intersection and the examiner looks up and watches the traffic light turn red, you're going to fail your driver's test. Okay? That's an automatic fail. So, unfortunately, if you can get it stopped for the purposes of your driver's test, get it stopped. If you can't, you're going to have to go through, covering the brake, scanning the intersection, and proceeding through the intersection. Fingers crossed that the light doesn't turn red when you're in the intersection. Okay? Gagney, this is me, as I'm pretty sure you'll end up taking my test on February or March. I live in a very snowy place. Where do you live, my friend? Epic, find short videos helpful, and it's even worse when you have to take it in a city location after a winter storm because some of the streets using the road test are not clean. Do they modify the routes? No, they're not going to modify the route, but again, they're probably not going to take you out on a driver's test. Okay, let me back up in terms of modifying the route. Yes, if there's a lot of snow on the side streets and they can't get safely up and down the roads with learner drivers or drivers who don't have a lot of experience, then they won't take you on those roadways. They'll stick to the main roads that are plowed and cleared and those types of things. Then that's what they're going to do. Okay? Not a problem, Tim. I'm always open to a new experience, so send me the articles. I'll have a look at it and I'll re-examine it. But the experience that I've had with tractor trailers and the experience that I've had in my own personal vehicles does not support any of the information that's been written in papers and those types of things. It's one thing to have this, these studies done on skid pads. It's another thing to have it done in real life. So that's the reason that I'm not convinced with ABS brakes, but I'll have a look at the information, and I appreciate you persisting for sure. Kimberly, how familiar with the area near the road test should I be? The testing site I'm going to is about an hour away. Kimberly, if you can go a couple of hours before your test is scheduled and just kind of drive around the area where you're going to be taking your test, that's probably going to be enough for you to get familiar with the area and figure out where the schools and those types of things are. The other thing that I would do, Kimberly, is go on Google Maps and figure out where the schools are, because you're going to be taking your test while school is in session, and you're going to have to know where the school zones are, because if you speed in a school zone, that's an automatic fail on a driver's test. So just have a look at Google Maps, figure out, kind of a radius around the test center that's about 10 minutes, and then that way you can have a look at the roads, figure out where the schools are and where the busy areas and whatnot, and that'll help you out for sure. Mallory, what does covering the brake mean? Covering the brake means that you're prepared. So for example, you're going through an intersection on a yellow light, you just put your foot over the brake pedal, and that cuts down your reaction time in case something happens and you have to bring the vehicle to a stop. So you just hold your foot over the brake pedal, and it's called covering the brake. Sabrina, when turning, what is the best way to make sure you don't make too wide a turn? Sabrina, make sure you get the vehicle down to speed before you go around the corner, because oftentimes when new drivers are going too wide on their turns, oftentimes what happens is they're going too fast. So you need, as a general rule of thumb, and these are just very loose rules, right turns should be kind of 10 to 12 miles an hour, and then on left turns it should be kind of 15 to 25 miles an hour depending on the intersection, and those speeds in 10 to 15 kilometers an hour, or kind of 20 to 30 kilometers an hour on left turns depending on how big the intersection is. Obviously, if it's a left turn and you're in a residential area, it's going to be a lot slower. It's probably going to be down around 15 kilometers an hour. If you're not really sure and you're having trouble with that, then I would work with a veteran driver, or I would go to a parking lot and work with the pylons, and that will help you with the slow speed maneuvers will help you and get control of the steering wheel and give you better control of that. Kimberly, you should shoulder check anytime you move the vehicle sideways, anytime you make a turn. You're going to have to do 2 shoulder checks. Corey will put the video up for you on shoulder checking, because the most important thing for any driver's test is shoulder checking. And I was rereading Tom Vanderbilt's book called Traffic, and he just drops in this quote that somebody in a position of authority said, shoulder checking is the most dangerous thing you can do while you're driving, which is just complete and utter nonsense. You have to shoulder check, Why would you drive a 2-ton vehicle at speed, move it sideways, and not look to see whether somebody was there by simply turning your head? I don't understand that thinking. But anyway, it is what it is. Ramiz, what is the best car you have ever driven or owned? The best car that I have ever driven is actually the car that my girlfriend has right now, which is an Audi S4. It's got a V6 supercharger in it, and it's got the Quattro all-wheel drive suspension, the Quattro all-wheel drive in it. It's a beautiful car. It's an absolutely beautiful car. You know, I hadn't really had a lot of experience with German cars previously, but after driving her Audi, I am I am thinking very seriously about getting one myself. Okay. Gagney, how to recommend maintaining driving in your lane when it's snowy and you cannot see the lines on the road. Okay, so Gagney, I would have a look at the night driving video. You have to find landmarks along the roadway, utility poles, traffic signs. The other traffic is going to drive on the roadway for the most part. And then, of course, you know, shoulders of the road, concrete barriers in the middle of the road, and those types of things. All of the skills that are in the night driving video will help you to drive in bad weather when you can't see the lines on the roads and those types of things. Kimberly, what about Teslas? Kimberly, I am not convinced about Teslas at all. The kid's mom had one, had it for about 18 months, and then it got sold. So I'm not convinced about a Tesla. Not convinced at all. Please tell me it is better to stay inside a car or get out of the car if it breaks down on the freeway. It's better to stay in the car and call for services, emergency services. And if you're not comfortable with doing any kind of work or figuring out what's wrong with your vehicle, definitely stay in the vehicle and call AAA or call BCAA or Canadian Automobile Association or those types of things, okay? Make sure you have a phone charger in your car as well so that your phone is charged so you can call emergency services. Tim, good night, my friend. Soup is brown and bubbling. Make sure you wear oven mitts. Tim, please don't burn your hand again. Oh, that was just a horrible story that you told me about burning your hand. So yes, oven mitts. Wear oven mitts. Corey's put up the video on how to drive at night, tips and techniques, and as I said, that will help you to drive on roadways that are snow covered and whatnot. Okay, Gordon, many advanced drivers say they don't need to shoulder check because the sensors are better than inexperienced drivers. Gordon, oh my God, that just makes me cringe. Makes me cringe. And I disagree. I completely, utterly disagree. And, you know, it was a discussion that Sam and I were having about technology on vehicles that, you know, is it eroding drivers' abilities to driving abilities? And I think that it is, because it gives people this false sense that the technology in the vehicle is going to take care of them, and that's simply not true. That's simply not true. It's like backup cameras. I get in a vehicle with a backup camera in it. I rarely look at the backup camera because I'm looking, and you know, I see people doing it all the time in parking lots, backing up, just looking at the backup camera. They're not doing a 360-degree check. They're not looking around for other pedestrians and kids and whatnot, you know, crazy parking lot scenarios and whatnot. David said he passed his test on Friday. Congratulations on passing your test on Friday. That is absolutely awesome. Paul says don't trust the robots. I'm on board with you, Paul. I don't trust the robots. Japan says I did shoulder check like 4 times during my test to be sure. Yes, that's awesome. And David says he now has his G test. Congratulations. That is really, really great, my friend. Stefano, I watched your videos and passed my driving test first try last winter. I just wanted to say thank you and let others know how helpful your snow driving videos were to me as an international student. And that is absolutely awesome, Stefanos. Thanks for stopping back and letting us know that we were able to help out and that you now have your driver's license and are driving in the wintertime here in Canada. Thank you, my friend. Ramiz, I have sat in an S4 before, and yeah, those things are extremely quick. Do you trust blind spot monitors on modern cars? What about the automatic lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control? Ramiz, I haven't had a lot of experience with any of those things. I have driven cars with blind spot detectors. I do like them, but I still shoulder check. Okay. It's me. I was very good with parallel parking when I was practicing for tests, but didn't use it for a long time now. I've forgotten how to do it. I suspect you still can do it. Ramiz, 0 to 60 in the new S4 is like 4.2 seconds. Ramiz, that S4 has a supercharger on it. It's a V6 supercharger. That thing is just like stupid fast. Stupid fast. Sky, hey Rick, what's your opinion on signaling for every part of the three-point turn? I hear mixed answers. I want to hear it from number one driver. Sky, yes, signal for every part of it. And Corey will put up the video for you on three-point turns. And I do signal. So you pull over to the side of the road, signal left, come across, and then you're going to move back to the right. So you're going to signal to the right to back up, and then you're going to signal to the left again when you take off again. So you remember, you got to communicate effectively with other traffic. So make sure that you do that. And one of the other things about learning to drive, I know that a lot of it kind of seems like a bit over the top, especially with the three-point turn. You're creating habits so that when you go on to have your driving career, you're just going to do this without thinking. That's what you want. You want these habits and strategies and skills in place that are going to keep you safe and not prevent a crash maybe tomorrow or next week or next month, but in 5 years, these habits, skills, and abilities that you're putting in place, these are going to keep you safe. Okay, Epic, the problem with electric cars, if you were to test one on, is that regenerative braking, which means that your feet off the brake pedal, they stop. That's the story about this in there's a story about this in California. Yes, so you take your foot off the throttle and it starts to slow down. That is one thing that I dislike about the Audi. When you're on cruise control and it's going down a hill, it'll actually brake within 3 or 4 kilometers of the speed you have it set at. And I'm not really a fan of that. I just like it to roll down the hill. Gordon, people say that AI is based on first order logic. The thing is, AR cars will choose the logical choice as opposed to the best choice. Yeah, there's a video here that I put up about 5 years ago about self-driving cars. So you can watch that. Corey will put that up for you. And completely disagree about, self-driving cars and whatnot. Sam, I have a backup camera and always turn my head to see what my camera is not seeing. I will make a video on that to prove it. And yes, thank you for that, Sam. Mustafa, I passed my test this morning. Your videos have helped me so much. Thank you, and congratulations on passing your driver's test. Absolutely awesome, my friend. Absolutely awesome. It was very good. Okay, so we talked about that. Okay. And yes, so probably one of the things that I need to talk about with Christmas coming and highways and those types of things, Corey's put up the video on self-driving cars and why they won't be coming anytime soon. Yes, we have adaptive cruise control and we have lane assist, and but there still needs to be a driver in the vehicle. And there's been a bit of bad publicity because there's been a couple of car crashes with the self-driving features on Teslas, or drunk drivers behind the wheel and not driving these vehicles and whatnot. So they've gotten some bad publicity in the last little bit. And as I said, and this is going to sound really harsh, but it's true, you have one self-driving car that takes out a family in a minivan, and that is going to be the worst publicity that they will ever get, and that'll be the end of it. Okay? Sabrina, what's a good way to keep your speed limit without decreasing too much? Good scanning patterns and making sure that you're checking your instrument panel will help you with your speed control. Paul, throw a dodgeball at a self-driving car and see what happens. Yeah, not sure we want to check that one out there, but we will for sure. All right, so we're at the top of the hour again. If you're watching now, watching on the replay, leave us a comment down in the comment section. You have any suggestions for things you'd like to see, tools you'd like to see over at the Smart Drive Test website. We can totally help you out. Cecilia, hello. Yes, you just got to the end, but you can rewind, and that's the great thing about videos. You can rewind it to watch it. And if you want to pass your driver's test first time, check out the Pass Your Driver's Test First Time course package over at the Smart Drive Test website. And as a bonus, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses. Those will help you out as well and keep you accident free. And as we're talking about tonight, driving in the wintertime and driving to get your driver's license in the wintertime, all of that will help you out with those courses. You can pick that up for about $38 over at the Smart Drive Test website. Garama, I met with an accident while learning. I lost all my confidence and terribly scared. Please guide me. Yes, definitely watch the video. Corey will put that up for you on fear and anxiety around driving, and that'll definitely help you out. Unfortunately, because you had a crash, you might even need to get some professional help with a psychologist or a therapist or something that can help you out. But there's definitely some tips and strategies in there. I have my driving test on Wednesday the 15th. I'm so nervous. Cecilia, you're going to do awesome. If you have any questions, leave us a comment down in the comment section there, and we'll definitely help you out. Okay, so for all the drivers that have passed in the last couple of weeks, congratulations on getting your license. And for those coming up, lots of driver's tests this week. I'm really happy to see that. Good luck on your driver's test. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.